what's going on? It's Griffin Gaming RPG, and thanks for stopping by today. Today we're doing a little bit of Star Citizen 101, continuing my series on answering any questions that folks might have about Star Citizen. Maybe you already play Star Citizen and you're a veteran to it and you probably are way past 101, but if you're new to it or if you got questions about it, hey, feel free to drop me a question. I'm not necessarily an authority on it, but I've been following it for a couple of years, and if I do have any information I can share, I'll be happy to share it with you. Today we're going to be doing a tour of one of the newer spacecraft that was released as a part of patch 2.4. Right now, patch 2.4 is not available to all backers of the game. I happen to be one of the people who contributes a little extra to the game, and because of that, we've been allowed to try to sort out some bugs that still may be existing in this current patch. And so because of that, I have access to being able to see this new ship, which is called the MISC Reliant Kore. It's an interesting ship. A lot of folks have been looking forward to getting their hands on it. It is only hangar ready at this time, which means that you can only see it in the hangar. It does not fly. And most ships, when they're released in Star Citizen, this is how they come out. They start out hangar ready, and then ultimately they become ready to fly. And so what we're going to do is just do a very short tour of the MISC Reliant Kore. Just some background on this particular ship. This is actually the main version of it, the Kore. There are three other versions. One's called the Tana, which is a skirmisher. There's another one called the Mako, which is a news van, and a lot of streamers are really interested in that particular ship because it will allow them to be able to shoot live footage of things that are going on in the game, and to stream those things and broadcast them. And in some way or other, don't know how yet, they're going to be able to remain, I guess, maybe invulnerable to whatever's going on around them. Not sure how they're going to work that out yet, but anyway, I guess if they're going to be like a little news agency van that they could use. And then lastly, the third ship is called the Sin, and it's a research variant of this ship. Haven't heard very much about that one in particular. There seems to be a lot of interest in definitely the news van, and a lot of people interested in the skirmisher. The research, that's for a select few people. I'm kind of like that, who likes to do exploration and stuff along those lines. So, but I'm sure there'll be plenty of people who will purchase all of them, to be honest with you. This ship is actually considered to be almost a starter ship. When Star Citizen first started out, the main starter ships were ships that were made by RSI called the Aurora. Anything in the Aurora class is considered a starter, and anything that was in Consolidated, which was any of the Mustang ships, some of those are considered starter ships as well. But this one is too, except for this one is more of a starter ship that also handles cargo. A little bit about it: it's a light cargo carrying ship. The total length on the ship is about 13 meters. It's about 29 meters in width, so it kind of reminds you of like the old flying wing kind of thing, kind of a stealth look to it. And then lastly, it's about 6 meters in height. It weighs just over 18,000 kilograms. I think it's 18,750, and it crews too. Even though it crews too, there's only one pilot. The other seat is actually for a passenger. There are no controls for flying. There are some controls there that may allow the passenger to do things such as shield management and power management, but we haven't seen what those HUDs do in the ship, so I'm only taking a guess at that for right now. And holds a cargo of 30 slots, or capacity of 30, I should say. What we will do is, let me read the background on the ship a little bit. The Reliant Kore, which is made by MISC, adds to its already impressive lineup of ships smaller introductory class spacecraft utilizing advanced Xeon designs. The Reliant features broad, sleek wings, omnidirectional thrusters, and a fully articulated two-seat cockpit that supports horizontal and vertical flight modes. All of this combines with a larger carrying capacity than many ships in its class to make the Kore a natural choice for short-range hauling, or with the simple addition of a few optional components, this can-do ship can do anything you dream of. So this ship actually can be modified, and even though right now it's a base ship, and mainly designed for hauling. There's a lot more that can be done with it, and we'll see as we go around the ship. I'll point out some of those things to you. So let's start taking a look at it. We're in the AeroView hangar today, which is a, a hangar I don't think I've shot anything in the hangar, this particular hangar, but you'll notice that the hangar is, if you've seen an AeroView hangar before, it's smaller. Before there would be several bays when we would come into our hangars, and those several bays you would have, sometimes you'd have up to 6 to 8, 9 ships, but right now we're isolated into one bay. As a part of update 2.4, they're also adding a new system that allows us to bring in items for ourselves. Previously, if you had items such as ships or decorations, things of that nature, they would automatically be placed in a hangar. And before, when you wanted to put a ship in a hangar, you actually had to go to the Roberts Space Industries website. You had to select your ship. You had to say what hangar you wanted to have, and you had to say what bay you wanted your ship to be in. And then when you came into the hangar, you would see it. Well, now we actually have control over that. We can select our hangar in-game, and we can also place our ships wherever we want to. Well, I shouldn't say wherever. Depending on the size of your ship, you can place your ship in different spaces. There's this port system that they have, and I'll try to show you what it looks like. You can see this little green dot here, and it says type vehicle size 3. That means it can take a size 3 ship. The ship that you're looking at, the Reliant Kore, is a size 3 ship. A size 4 ship would be one of the larger ones, such as an Andromeda, something along those lines, a Retaliator. Those would be a size 4. But we won't talk too much about the port system. That could be a whole other video unto itself, but we will see some elements of it as we look around. So let's look at the ship. One of the things that really impresses me about this ship is the detail. And it seems like each time RSI puts out a new ship, they go to greater lengths with detail. And at the same time, we don't lose frame rate. The game doesn't lag. From a distance, this may look normal. But as we get closer and closer to the ship, we'll see tremendous amounts of detail. And it's detail that I think in many cases most people don't even think about. But they go the extra mile. Well, even I'd go way more than the extra mile for some of the stuff they do. For example, on the front of the ship here, you can see there's like what would also be like an airspeed indicator. This may be a scanner. It could be anything based on how they're creating the ships. But you see these on fighter ships now. But if you look on the ship, you'll see that there's actually a serial plate there. And not a lot of detail, but you can tell it's some type of serial plate or part number. But if we get close enough to it, you will see that we can actually read the details here, where it says MISC. Let me see if I can get it close enough. Musashi Industrial and Starflight Concern. And we can even read the serial number, R4G68MD62625S. 1500 underneath, and on the left it looks like it says 800, and we can see scratches, we can see a little bending of the metal. I'm just always amazed at the amount of detail that they put into these things. Doesn't have to be there, but it's really cool to see it. Okay. One of the other great things about this ship, in the description it talked about the fact that there was a Xeon design to it, and you can see that this glass canopy somewhat reflects that. From the outside it has an opaque tint to it, almost like a sunglasses kind of thing, but when you look at it from the inside, the view is completely clear. So I do like the opaque effect that it has. You can kind of see the 2 seats that are inside there if you look real hard, and you can see into the back cargo area from here. And again, to look at more detail, just looking at this light that's on the side, if you get close enough, you can even see the beveling of the glass there, which is, to me, pretty far out. A lot of detail there that doesn't have to be there, but hey, they go the extra mile, and it really makes these ships really look good. Okay, let's talk a little bit more about the ship. The ship takes TR1 engines, which are pretty much base engines. This one particularly is able to take S1 laser cannons. There are also S1, if you can see underneath there. There's the laser cannon. It also is able to take missiles. And again, we were talking about the port system earlier, where that dot is. You can see where it says this would be a gun turret, a size 3. Now, right now, the caps are on here, but again, in the description it said that this ship could be modified. This is an adjustment for a power plant. Same thing here for a cooler. Okay. So we'll see the ship from this side here. Let's go around. On the rear of the ship, we can see where the vents are. And one of the other unique things I didn't mention about the ship, I did say it in the description, but I want to emphasize the fact that even though the ship is horizontal now, it can fly in this position, and it can also turn 90 degrees and fly vertically. And so these engines, upon takeoff, will face toward us, and then the ship actually turns 90 degrees. And so it's going to be kind of interesting to see how that works when it's time to fly it. And definitely when it comes to cargo. But anyway, this is a light cargo ship. All right, let's take a look inside of her. Okay, there's the MISC logo. Alrighty. And this is what the inside looks like when we go inside. I pushed the F key, by the way, just in case someone wants to know how I got in. And you can see that there's these magnetic hold places for cargo. And as again, I mentioned this is a starter ship. Most of the single pilot ships in this game do not have spaces for cargo for them. I think you have to get into the Freelancer class of ship before you start getting cargo. So this is actually the first relatively small ship that actually allows you to be able to carry cargo. And a ship like this would be great for if you wanted to make a quick run somewhere in and out, not be seen. There are other cargo ships, as I mentioned, such as the Freelancer, the Constellation class ships, the Taurus, but those are larger ships, and obviously there's issues with that, with bringing larger ships in. Of course, it's great for capacity and being able to carry more cargo, but there's also an aspect of vulnerability that happens as well. So, and again, talking about detail, if you look down there at the ground, you can see, I'll try to stoop down for you, you can see the MISC logo is actually in the flooring there. We see that same thing in the Starfarer and the Gemini. Again, just another one of those cool things that they do. Some of the other things that you see that carried on in the MISC look are the orange piping, which we see in the Starfarer and Gemini as well, particularly the Starfarer. Mind your head. Alright. Cargo straps. And let's move forward a little bit. Okay, in this hallway area you see that there are access points on both the left and right sides of the ship. Again, one of the great things about these ships is that we'll be able to do repairs on the fly on the ship, provided you have the correct modules to do those repairs. So you may, for example, lose your shields, you may lose life support, you may lose navigation. These panels will be areas that you would have to go into, or one of your crew members would go into, to replace certain damaged areas so that your ship could be flyable. In most games we play, your ship gets damaged, you're messed up until you either go someplace where you can repair it, or until you're destroyed. But in this game you'll be able to make repairs on the fly, once again provided you have the parts necessary to do that. Okay. Again, we're going to go through here into the cockpit area. And again, as I mentioned earlier, you can see that the canopy is translucent here. It's clear. No opaqueness, no shading from the inside, which I think is pretty cool. Very different. Here you can see the mechanism that's going to rotate the chairs when the ship goes vertical. We have that on both sides. Okay, keep clear. There's also some type of manual button down there that's sliding, manual control. I'm not sure if that's going to work or not, but pretty cool to see. And one of the other things I want to point out is that if you notice that only one of these seats has flight controls. Only the pilot side of the ship has flight controls. The other side is a passenger seat, or it could possibly be a seat that would be utilized by someone who handles things such as your shield management or power. And the reason why I mention that is that it does have an overhead HUD system similar to the pilot's. Not completely identical, but similar. So let's sit in the pilot seat. And again, you can see you've got a pretty good view from here. Pretty unobstructed view, left and right, even downward and upward. Kind of reminds me almost like the view within a helicopter. Okay. And again, here's our HUD up above. You can see that to the left and right there are two panels there. I would assume, and I do know those panels do move. We did see a demonstration several months back of what this HUD system would look like, but they do spin around and drop down. As far as the buttons up above, whether they work or not, I don't know. But one of the things we found out in most of the ships in Star Citizen, if you see something that looks like it might work, usually it does end up working. So whether those three switches mean anything, particularly that big red one, which could mean engines on, engines off, or self-destruct, whatever the case may be, kind of looking forward to seeing exactly how that will work. But it does seem like it would possibly drop down over us here. I'm going to come out of the seat here. Again, this is GriffinGamingRPG. Thanks for stopping by. If you got questions, feel free to drop them in. Here on the passenger seat, I mentioned earlier, you can see that the HUD is here as well. You can also see that there's almost seems to be something that rotates here. Now, I don't know if this is going to operate similar to, like, you know how a roller coaster harness works, where you grab these bars and pull it down, because it happens to be on both sides where we have these bars. It seems like there would be some type of harness situation, particularly because these seats do rotate, they spin. And so, I don't know, if sitting in that seat without anything holding you down, I don't see any seat belts, I think this harness might have something to do with it. But if not, they may be there for nothing more than just pulling yourself up. It's hard to say, but I think it might be part of a harnessing system. Okay. Alright, so you can kind of see what the cockpit looks like here. I haven't tried sitting in this seat. Can I sit in it? Yeah, I actually can. Cool. Let's see what this looks like when I sit over here. I've never tried sitting in this seat. Okay, yeah, we can see that there are system panels above. So I guess there will be something that you'll be able to control. Obviously, I don't think it would come down fully, because that would obstruct your view. But it does seem like it probably comes down a little bit. But again, when it's flight ready, that's when we'll get an opportunity to see what exactly it is it does. It's our pilot seat. Panel release there. Alright, we're going to make our way back to the back of the ship again. Fire extinguisher, hydraulic systems, switch for opening and closing the door. And we're going to go outside and we'll close her up. Alrighty. So again, this is the MISC Reliant Kore. When the MISC went on sale for the concept, it went up for, if I'm not mistaken, it was $50, and that was with LTI, lifetime insurance. I'm sure it will go up for sale again. Be aware that most of the time when these ships go on sale, when they first come out, they're one price. But if they're reissued again, usually the price goes up. It can go up anywhere from $10 to $20 to $50, maybe even more sometimes, but usually it's not more than a quarter of the price. So if you're interested in something like this, when you see it, definitely grab it. It seems to be a very popular ship that a lot of people were very interested in. The MISC line of ships seems to be very, very popular right now, the hot thing. But they're starting to change. Looks like Drake is starting to pick up steam now. But hopefully we'll see the Reliant Kore out flying upon update 2.5. Again, as I mentioned earlier, this is the base model. There are 3 other models: the Tana, the Mako, and the Sin. That's the skirmisher, the news van, and the research one. Anyway, this is a pretty short tour because it's a short aircraft, or a small aircraft, or a small spacecraft. But hey, this is Griffin Gaming RPG. Again, I really appreciate you hanging out with me today. You could have been a million other places other than here, but thanks for hanging out. And if you're not a follower, definitely follow. I try to come out on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays for sure around midday, around the same time. And hopefully, if it's not Star Citizen, it'll be something else. But Star Citizen happens to be the main thing that I'm really excited about right now. So I appreciate you hanging out with me today. And you try and have a good one. And fly safe. See you soon.